Hi guys, today we're going to talk about adjective clauses. What is an adjective clause? Well, we know that a clause is a subject and a verb, and an adjective clause is a clause that works like an adjective. We can look at example 1. This one has only adjectives. I saw the big blue house. If we look at example 2, I saw the blue house which was big. In both cases, these sentences don't mean anything different, but one has a different kind of grammar. The purple section shows this subject and verb. This clause gives more information about house. It works like an adjective. That's why we call it adjective clause. The form, there are two different kinds of forms. We're going to come back to this, but you have to have a noun, and then you need a keyword, and you need a verb. And sometimes you need a different subject. Let's look at this example. I saw the blue house, which was big. Can you find the verb? Can you find the subject? The verb is was, and the subject is which. Inside of this adjective clause, the verb is was and the subject is which. In this case, the keyword is working as a subject. Therefore, we call these subject-adjective clauses because the keyword works like the subject. This is the kind of clause that goes noun, and then the keyword holds the place of the subject, and we have a verb. It's still a clause because we still have a subject and verb, but the keyword is holding the place of the subject. The keywords that work like this are that, which, and who. Let's look at another example. I saw the blue house that she bought recently. Can you find the adjective clause? That she bought recently. This is the adjective clause. The house is the noun, and we get more information about the house. Which house? The house that she bought recently. I saw the blue house that she bought recently. Look at this adjective clause. Can you find the verb? Can you find the subject inside of this adjective clause? The verb is bought. She is the subject. So what is our keyword doing here? What is it doing in this part? We've got a subject, we've got a verb. In this case, the keyword is working as the object. She bought it recently. What did she buy recently? The house. So we use our keyword, we put it before the subject, but it's working like the object. It's not working like a subject. We call these object-adjective clauses. That takes the second form. That's the noun plus a keyword plus a different subject plus a verb. The keywords that can work like an object are that, which, who, whom, where, and when. You'll notice that the words that, which, and who can work as a subject, or they can also work as an object. You'll also notice that the words whom, where, and when cannot work as a subject. Some common problems that students have, they use the wrong keyword. For example, what cannot work in an adjective clause? The word what is not a keyword, actually, in English. So we look at this example, I loved the book What I Read Yesterday. That's incorrect. I loved the book that I read yesterday. Or they try to use where and when as a subject. If we look at the example, I'm from Brazil, where is in South America. Where is before the verb is, so it's working like a subject, and actually in English that's not allowed. So you have to say, I am from Brazil, which is in South America. You cannot have a double subject or a double object. If you look at the example in yellow, we see that the word who is working like the subject, so we cannot have the other word, she, in this sentence. So the correct version is, she is the girl who works at Into. If we look at the example B, the green example, we see that the word who is working as the object, so we cannot have the word her after the verb. We cannot have these words twice because the grammar word, the keyword, is holding the place of the object. It's replacing the object. She is the girl who I met yesterday. And sometimes students forget the keyword, which means that they actually should be different sentences. If we look at this incorrect example, the example has a problem. That is the book, I bought it last month. You have two ways that you could fix this. You could say that is the book which I bought last month. When you add this keyword, you have to remember to take out the object word it. Or the other possible correction is, that is the book, period, I bought it last month. Adjective clauses with whose. Whose can sometimes be kind of challenging for students. The word whose does not show people or thing. It actually just shows possession. And possession means something like his or her or their, or something like he has, she has, you have. So it shows things that you have. The word whose must have a noun after it. Let's look at the example. The student whose book is, so it's whose book. So we've got student and then we've got book. It's showing the relationship. This student has a book. The friends whose names sound like. And the word whose can function as a subject or an object inside of the sentence. I saw the man whose glasses are red. In this case, whose glasses are red. We've got whose glasses is the subject and are red. I saw the man whose car the thieves stole. In this case, whose car is the object, the thieves are the subject, and stole is the verb. Another example with whose. We could have two simple sentences. For example, I saw the girl, her dress is red. Or we could make a complex sentence with an adjective clause and say, I saw the girl whose dress is red. You can look at the second example, which is very similar, and you can also see another example of how to take our simple sentences and make them into complex sentences with these adjective clauses. Final note, don't forget the rest of the sentence. Please remember that a noun plus an adjective clause is not a sentence. The big red balloon is not a sentence because we have adjective, adjective, noun. But we don't have a verb, big red balloon. We don't have a sentence here because there's no verb. We don't know what's happening with this big red balloon. Similarly, this is not a sentence. The boy who lives in my building. We've got who lives in my building is an adjective about the boy. But we don't actually have a verb here about our sentence. What about the boy? It's like the lives in my building boy. What about him? What's he doing? What are you going to tell me? The solution are the big red balloon is flying high in the sky, so you need that verb after it, or the boy who lives in my building. What about this boy who lives in your building? Well, he is very friendly, so you need a verb after it. Even if it's really long, it's still not a sentence unless you have your main clause. Let's look at this. The example, the recent increase of average global temperatures, which is a direct result of pollution and overconsumption in many countries all over the world. This looks long. It looks like a sentence, but it's not. We have the increase, and that's all we have. This is our noun here, increase. We don't have a main clause verb. We've got an adjective verb, but that's inside of our adjective clause. It doesn't tell us anything about the main sentence. It's not a complete sentence. So the solution, you need a verb after this long subject. The recent increase of average global temperatures, which is a direct result of pollution and overconsumption in many countries all over the world, might cause environmental problems for the future. Or whatever you want, but you have to have another verb. You have to have a main clause verb for this really long subject. And this is one of the biggest problems that students have. So please take your time, look through some of these examples, and good luck on your homework in your workbook. See you on Monday.